David wakes before dawn, chest tight with unnamed possibilities, his mind reaching through sleep toward a promise he can't articulate. Yet he feels a pulse there, as if life itself taps the inside of his ribs and says, "Why wait?" But he pushes the feeling down, turns over, dreams that he'll feel ready, that one day he'll have time, resources, clarity. And so he doesn't move. Instead, he brews coffee, scrolls feeds of people who build big things, and thinks, soon. In his 20s, he scribbled ideas in notebooks, imagined businesses that could help people, stories that could change perspective. But the margins fill with dust as he replaced creation with comfort. "I'm being responsible," he told himself. "I want confidence before launching." But longing didn't obey logic. It simmered beneath routines, late-night notebook pages, imaginary product names scrawled under scribbled logos, vision boards half hung on dorm room walls. Each idea flickered out as life whispered, "Wait," and he listened. Years sharpened the voice of caution. "Not enough experience. Maybe later. You're not ready to fail." Time passed. 1 year, then 3, then 5. He added a stable job, bills, predictable circles. Excuses piled up until 10 years passed and the spark inside him dimmed. He told himself he was shaping his future, but really he was burying his dreams in fear dressed as pragmatism. Yet in silence, in midnight when the world slept, the ember remained, half extinguished but alive, reminding him there was another path, action. Then the call came at 38. His best friend from college, the one who believed in him, died age 39 from a heart attack, no warning. One morning he woke, and that friend was simply gone. And David sat in shock, heart pounding, replaying their hours of dreaming together. Nights spent mapping futures, talking about legacy, world-changing books, businesses that mattered. Now silence swallowed all the echoes. And in that silence, clarity struck like lightning. Time doesn't wait. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It flows past hesitation. And if you let it, it will carry you into regret. He stared at the ceiling as the night grew old into morning, the weight of his lost years heavier than grief. Not because he didn't want it anymore, but because fear had disguised itself as reason for so long that he believed the lie. Waiting was smart. And in that moment, he chose to wake. Dawn came, and with it, he spoke the word that shifted everything. Begin. He didn't know what came next. No plan, no perfect path, just a trembling promise. He opened a laptop and typed the first sentence of a book he'd once dreamt of writing. He drafted a shaky outline of a business plan. He called mentor, hands shaking, spoke aloud, "I'm starting," and heard calm encouragement, "Just do it." His voice felt brittle, but that whisper of action felt like life. He launched a simple website later that day, recorded a video, spoke into a camera with trembling chest, palms sweaty, heart racing, but something else raced too, purpose. Rejections came fast after the website. Emails went unanswered. His first speaking slot ended with sheepish silence in a tiny room. Crickets after pitches. But sleep no longer terrified him with visions of failure. He feared regret more. So he kept showing up. Late nights turned into early mornings fueled by coffee and drafts. He wrote blogs, sent emails, posted ideas. One morning he checked his inbox and something glowed. A message. That helped me. A client offered to pay. A small ripple. Momentum built slowly. A handshake from someone who felt understood. A donation. A comment, a message, an email. They multiplied, opening small doors. He leaned into the current. He spoke again to larger groups, refining his voice. Each no broke less of him. Each yes grew wider. And his mornings changed. No more dread. Possibility pressed at his ribs. He woke hungry to build. 3 years later, his business didn't belong in magazines. It belonged in real lives. People he never met thanked him. A quiet email said they stopped delaying. Another set of talks shifted their path. He sat in a small office, looked out a window at sunrise, and felt something steady glow inside. Purpose. He wasn't a household name, but he had built something real, something that mattered. And regret melted into gratitude. I started. It's not perfect, but it's forward. Now, David says, you don't need to feel ready. You need the willingness to begin. You don't need certainty, you need courage. The perfect moment doesn't arrive. It's created by choosing one imperfect step. Your story can split in two, the version that stayed stuck and the version that begins now with trembling hands and pounding heart. David's mornings are no longer defined by comfort. The alarm doesn't jolt him. It reminds him, a reminder to move. He leans into purpose. Coffee tastes like persistence. Silence tastes like a promise. He writes more now, sentences filled with longing turn to resolve. Each word becomes a step out of the waiting room of life, where he'd lingered for 10 years. He knows the voice of fear disguises itself as wisdom, but he's learning to recognize the lie. Wisdom speaks slowly and softly. Fear shouts. He's rejecting the shout. Soon, David experiences the need crystallizing. He realizes purpose isn't abstract, it's urgent. The emptiness of inaction becomes as loud as the loss of his friend. He can no longer tolerate the ache of untapped potential. He remembers the nights of planning failure-proof futures, the thousands of one-day moments. But now those nights press down on him with weight. He feels life slipping past while he hesitates, and every hesitation becomes a hidden funeral. He sees the faces of others he cares about. He imagines their surprises when they ask, "Why didn't you?" He wants to rewrite the answer. So he moves into satisfaction. He shifts from paralysis to iteration, not perfection, but progress. He experiments. He scripts a simple frame, daily writing, weekly outreach, monthly speaking attempts. Every Sunday, he reviews what worked and what didn't. Every Monday, he repeats, refining. He watches his mindset flip. Doubt isn't failure. It's a signal. Discomfort isn't warning. It's invitation. He builds trenches in the battlefield of his own hesitation. Each trench is deeper and steadier with every try. And he surrounds himself, virtual mentors, online peers, friends who dare to paddle before daylight. They buoy him when the current feels strong. He cultivates small wins, tiny milestones with seismic effect. The first email he actually sends out. The first message he writes on Instagram that doesn't perfect itself to death. The first draft that actually goes live. All simple acts, but they somersault across his life like skipping stones. He stalks a ripple. He takes note. Look how far one sentence went. He feels the wind of his own making. That's satisfaction. Now the script shifts into visualization. David narrates his vision aloud. Here's what this can look like in 3, 6, 12 months. He sees himself standing in front of an audience, their attention steady on him. He imagines a message landing in someone's heart, shifting them into motion the way he had to shift. He imagines mornings filled with possibility, not urgency, not dread. He pictures reading messages from people he helped. He sees real faces changed. That vision feels alive, risky, imperfect, but alive. And imagination becomes motivation. Visualization makes movement inevitable. He brings us to action, the moment that this monologue becomes a bridge rather than a wall. Now is your moment. Your moment doesn't wait. He shares his next steps, how he sets up mornings around daily writing, how he reaches out to one stranger each day, how he scales incrementally. He narrates. Pick 3 words you believe today. Write them. Speak them. Stand by them. Not because they're perfect, but because they exist in motion. He recounts his own first shaky video, framed with fear and trembling hands, but alive. He challenges. You don't need polish. You need presence. He winds deeper into emotional terrain. I could have left this unfinished story in the dark, but you're not a story that ends in regret. The person you care about, the one you thought you had time for, they're still here, but in their eyes is tomorrow. Tomorrow is now. He drives urgency with empathy, tying his world to ours, making us feel the same cliff-edge realization. Soft pause. He breathes through the pause. Action is contagious. He cues us to imagine our own sentence, our own outline, our own audience. He prompts. Who will hear you if you don't start whispering? Then he accelerates the cadence, voice tight with determination. You build trenches with everyday courage. You build meaning with everyday presence. You become the guide who once needed guidance. So let's build together. He raps with a climatic crescendo. Speech pace quickens.